Okay, so we're recording. So welcome everybody to another one of these Teams talks that I try to do every week. Sorry for the change in schedule this week. There was a training going on yesterday right after convocation, and I was worried some folks wouldn't be able to make it if they were interested because of that. But normally, next week we'll get back to Wednesdays after at 12:30 after convocation. So I don't know if you guys are aware, if you've looked at the LUCOM library site's just been updated, but we're really fortunate that the Jerry Falwell Library has purchased access to some additional McGraw-Hill resources. You guys are probably familiar with Access Medicine that we have. That has, a lot of our required textbooks in it that we use, but we share access. We purchased that specifically for LUCOM, but we share access with JFL. So JFL has purchased access to two additional resources, AccessBioMedical Science, and I'm not going to talk about it today, but I'm probably going to do another Teams talk on Access Pharmacy. There's a whole bunch of pharmacology resources there, but today I want to talk about this AccessBioMedical Science because I think it might be useful for faculty and students. And so if you go to the LUCOM library page, and this won't be very long, but just kind of show you what's there. If you go to the LUCOM library page, underneath databases, you'll find Access Biomedical Science right here. If you click on research guides, it'll open up our LibGuide, our research guide that we built for everyone. And there's a link to Access Biomedical Science there. It's also on the A to Z database list. So just multiple redundant ways to find it. So clicking on Access Biomedical Science, this probably looks familiar. It's got the same look and feel as Access Medicine. So if you've used that at all for your courses, or if you're a student for studying, this will look familiar. There's a carousel here with all these resources: organic chemistry, gastrointestinal physiology, and of course some of this, there's a little bit of overlap here because Greenspan's basic and clinical endocrinology. I think that might also be an Access Medicine, not positive, but there might be a little bit of overlap because they're made by the same vendor, the same publisher. And something I thought was kind of cool is I know in the past we've used MIMS, medical microbiology. I think we might use a different source now, but there's another Sherry's medical microbiology available on this. So this is just kind of in addition to what we already have access to. So if you remember and looking at Access Medicine, Access Biomedical Science is very similar. We can click on these titles in the carousel to be taken directly to it, and it's just going to present kind of a web version of the textbook. It's broken down by sections. Each section is going to have different chapters that we can click on. So for example, pathogenic viruses, antiviral agents and resistance. And you'll see the way it breaks open the chapter for you. Now, there's a couple things I wanted to show today, but unfortunately, I'm actually in contact with McGraw-Hill and one of the librarians over at JFL. We're having some issues. I had a faculty member unable to access a McGraw-Hill resource from off campus the other day. I had Dr. Pettit yesterday that couldn't get into it, and I had to strip the easy proxy prefix to get her into the resource. So some of the things I want to talk about, I wish I had a better time. It's kind of bad timing, but I might have a chance to show you more later. But there's an option in here where you can actually listen to the sections or chapters. So if students wanted to, I don't know if they just get things better through hearing it instead of reading it, you can actually go in here and listen to the website read these sections to you. So that's just kind of a feature that's built into it. You can also download PDFs of chapters, but this can be kind of misleading because I know that a lot of times when students, especially students, are looking for PDFs, or maybe faculty as well, they're thinking of like a scanned image of the textbook. And what Access Biomedical Science does is, you can see it kind of makes a PDF of the web page. So I know a lot of times students are looking for, like, if you guys just remember that if you're assigning page numbers for readings to students, you might want to mention the section, not just the page numbers, because even if they get a PDF of that section, it's not going to match up page numbers with this PDF. I mean, it still could be useful if you wanted to print it or save it. You can share this section or chapter. You can get the citation. You can search within this book. You can look at just the figures or just the tables. Something I was going to mention for faculty specifically, if you're using this resource, you may have done this in Access Medicine. You can download figures as a PowerPoint slide to put directly into your lecture, which is cool because it'll automatically make attribution and stuff. If you want to do, if you want to make sure it says I got this from this resource and Access Medicine, and it'll actually create a slide right there with the citation, with the attribution, the whole slide, all the labels, and I can just copy that slide and put it into my PowerPoint for my lecture, whatever you want to use it for. So that's the first thing I wanted to show you. If you go back,
lots of arrows on that figure.
Yeah, it's quite a bit. There's some going slanted even, and kind of, I don't know, it's pretty complicated looking. So if you go back up here to books, you can actually click on library, and it'll let you look through what resources it has by specialty. So physiology, pharmacology, neuroscience. So again, this is just sort of similar to Access Medicine, but more from a basic sciences, biomedical science perspective. You have access to updates. So if there's any changes or new additions or additions to any of the resources, you can find updates here. And generally they will keep older editions of the current textbooks they have under archived textbooks. And of course you have this search box that you can search through the resource with. Something I really wanted to point out, just if there's any students here, if not, they can watch this on the recording. If you click on this review questions, you can test yourself, and you can go through and see how many questions are available from each of these resources. So only 56 from basic and clinical biostatistics, but I mean, essentials of toxicology, there's 340 questions. Some of them not quite as many, only 39 for endocrine physiology. But like if we were to go to this gastrointestinal physiology, you can actually choose how many questions you want from each section. So you can see motility, transport, and metabolic functions of the liver, how many questions are available from each section. You can choose how many of those you want, or you can say there's a total of 81 questions from this resource. I just want whatever the first 23 of those questions is, I can create and quiz myself. I know students have access to the Kaplan resource now, but this is still pretty cool, this self-quiz. Something I wanted to show you more about, but again, I mentioned we were having some issues. If you have created a My Access profile for Access Medicine, that same profile will work with this resource. But when trying to sign into it earlier this morning to make sure I had everything I wanted to show you, I was getting another error message when trying to sign in. I should have it resolved very, very soon. That's one of those things I'm talking to McGraw-Hill and Mike Cobb over at the JFL about. But for some reason, I can try. See what it. Oh, okay. Well, didn't do it. Okay, yeah. So it'll just randomly pick 23 questions out of the total 80, whatever it was, 89, and I can go through and I can submit and go through the whole thing, or I can submit each one and see what the answer is as I go. So obviously I got that wrong. So that's mostly what I wanted to show. The PDFs of the chapters, being able to listen to the sections being read to you. That might be useful for students. The updates of the content that's available. Old editions are under archived textbooks, and you can go through by section or specialty and see what books are available. And I was actually surprised when I was looking at this the other day when I decided I wanted to do this. Some of these, they don't actually show a resource like endocrinology. I mean, we have endocrinology resources in some other textbooks and some other resources, but says there's no books on that. But we do have, I think we have some on hem-onc. Yeah, so we have some hematology, oncology, but any of these, so if we're looking for microbiology, there's maybe just a different resource in here than we're used to using. Like I said, I know in the past we used to use MIMS medical microbiology, but here's Sherry's medical microbiology, but just from a basic biomedical science standpoint. So that's all I really wanted to show you today, just to be aware that we have this. Again, there's a link to it on the main LUCOM library page up here at the top. And it's also on the research guide if you use that under featured resources and also A to Z databases. And I'm going to do another one of these Teams talks where I'll just briefly go over what you can get to in Access Pharmacy, but you can kind of see as a McGraw-Hill resource, the look and feel of everything is going to be very similar to Access Medicine if you've used that. So that's all I had for today. Thank you for your time. I'm going to go ahead and stop this and oops, I didn't mean to do that. I'm going to stop the recording. See if I can. Okay. Well, thank you guys. Did you guys have any questions, or was there anything in particular you were interested in that I didn't talk about, or? No,
No biochemistry text.
Okay. Sorry, Dr. Hammer.
It just is.
Yeah. All right. Well, y'all have a good day.
All right. Thanks again, Rob.
Sure. Mm-hmm.